Welcome to GoPowerCat.com's Friday Walkthrough, sponsored by Riverbank Brewing. Now, let's head into the studio.
Hey everyone, and welcome in here to the Friday Walkthrough. I'm Cole Carmody, and with me as always, my good friend and co-host, Monty Spiller, former Kansas State defensive back. Monty, Kansas State takes care of business against Tulane 34-27. It isn't without a little bit of scares as that game came down to the end by an interception for VJ Payne in the end zone, secured things for the Wildcats. We'll talk about that game along with previewing Arizona on today's show. First half, we'll recap the Tulane game. Second half, we'll get into the other Wildcats as K-State and Arizona tangle on Friday night. That's why you're watching this likely on Thursday or Friday morning. Monty, let's talk about Tulane. There were some emotions that were riding high between both you and I. Our text conversations would have been labeled NSFW, not safe for work. Man, now that we've had some time to kind of sit back and digest that game, well, give me your thoughts.
Well, first of all, never apologize for a win. No matter what it took to get the win, never apologize for it. Tulane, we knew going into it was going to be a well-coached team. They got some dudes that can play ball. And one thing we're learning, the FCS and the FBS level, certain FCS teams, let me clarify that, can play with any FBS team on any day. And the fact that we made a lot of mistakes, I'm not making excuses, but we did make a lot of mistakes and allowed them to make some big plays and stay in the game. And it gave us a scare, man. But, we got the win, so I would take that. But I am not happy overall with the effort of the team offensively and defensively, physically or mentally. We made a lot of mental mistakes, especially on the back end in the secondary, defensive-wise.
Let's dig into that, because I think that's probably the number one storyline coming out of this game, where the mental mistakes, not necessarily the physical mistakes, but the mental mistakes. And, Monty, I can't remember the last time a K-State team had this many mental mistakes. We've seen them maybe get out-schemed. We've seen them get out-athleted before. But very rarely, especially with a veteran group like this, have we seen them just kind of lose themselves. And I think the perfect play for an example was on the Alex Bowman the tight end, the touchdown for Tulane. Everybody's playing man coverage except for one guy, and when you know it, it leads to a touchdown for Tulane. I can't remember the last time I've seen that out of this team.
Yeah, man, I'm with you. It was frustrating, as you alluded to earlier. Our text messages back and forth. I'll leave it at that. But it's one of those things where, and the play schemes that Tulane were using were very similar to what he scored off of. And early in the game, they used a receiver rather than a tight end. But the guy was running wide open, and one guy was not in tune with the rest of the secondary. So I'm not sure what was being communicated or what was not being communicated. But that was very frustrating, because K-State has always been a well-coached team, especially in the secondary. And it's not very common for guys to make mental errors like that leads to wide open catches and touchdowns. So it was frustrating to watch that.
I'm curious what goes into that, because, I wouldn't think that the calls are necessarily similar. The zone coverage and the man coverage calls probably aren't similar. Honestly, to me, it probably was just an instance of a guy having a brain fart. I mean, at the most inopportune time, he's thinking, okay, this is the play, this is what I'm doing, when in all reality, he's completely wrong. And he knows that, he screwed up. And I think I wrote about it in our Tale of the Tape, which went up on Wednesday morning. I was like, he probably knew as soon as he started to take that drop, oh, crap, I'm supposed to be in man. And sure enough, Tulane made him pay. I want to give a lot of credit to Tulane and especially Darian Mensah. That's a good football team, Monty. They have a chance to do some really good things. They go on the road to Oklahoma this week. I think they're going to have a chance to win that game, especially if that was more of a confidence boost as opposed to maybe a negative letdown for Tulane. But I was really impressed with the Green Wave.
So was I, and it's one of those things where a lot of people get caught up in the FCS, FBS, and we talked about it on a previous show. They're a quality team, and obviously they beat some bigger schools in the past and played in some big bowl games. But their head coach, I watched him during the game, and he never, to my opinion, he never lost his confidence. He never panicked. He never let his emotions get too high or too low. And his team kind of followed suit. And they did a good job of staying calm. When things went good, they celebrated, obviously. But then when things went bad, they didn't panic. They continued to compete, and they were right there with the opportunity to tie it up late in the game. So they're a quality team. And for K-State, honestly, you know what? I'd rather play a Tulane on the road walk out with a win barely, and we're tested. But the one, and we'll probably get to it later in the show. But the one thing that put the biggest smile on my face is when Coach Kleiman got interviewed, he mentioned the culture of K-State, and that's one of those things where that you couldn't find a better word to describe how K-State finds to win games, and that's been the way with when I played with Coach Snyder and moving forward, the culture of K-State and the players and the coaches, they find a way to win games.
It was impressive, and I never felt like K-State was out of the game. I think probably a lot of fans at home never felt like K-State was out of the game. I mean, you go into halftime, I think one of the big things in this game was the defense was able to hold to Tulane to multiple field goals. I mean, that should not go overlooked because very easily this could have been a 14-point or a 21-point game at halftime, but K-State was able to hold steady in the red zone, something I think, we'll preview the Arizona game coming up. I think they're going to have to do that against Arizona, but they were able to hold Tulane to some field goals, even when they weren't playing good and they were having breakdowns in the back end. They were still able to tighten up. And I give a lot of credit to Joe Kleinerman because watching that game, it reminded me so much of the Missouri game, Monty, where last year where K-State had those same kind of breakdowns and it came right down to the end. I truly believe that having played in that game, a lot of those guys last year played in that Missouri game, they said, we're not going to have another letdown game like we did against Missouri last year. And they did. And so credit them. On the offensive side of the ball, I want to get your take on this. DJ Giddens just continues to be unstoppable. What is it, 6 straight games with 100 straight rushing yards? He's only number 2 for consecutive 100-yard games behind a guy by the name of Darren Sproles, who I heard was pretty good when he played at K-State. So DJ is just, man, my favorite play of the game was when he caught a pass and trucked somebody and just got up and handed the ball to the official and ran back to the huddle. There was no smack talking. There was no gesturing. You just, here you go, Mr. Official. Here's the ball, and jog back to the huddle. That guy is so much fun to watch.
Man, I'm with you. He's one of those guys where being a local kid from Junction City right down the road from Manhattan, and his demeanor is and I'm a defensive guy, but he's like a running back with a linebacker demeanor. Mm-hmm. And he will catch the ball at the backfield. He will get 6-7 yards. He'll truck somebody. He'll hand the ball to the official. He won't make look at me, on to the next one. And he's one of those guys and he'll be playing on Sundays. Mm-hmm. I'll be willing. I'm not a betting man, but he will be playing on Sundays at some point. And he's one of those guys where he's a quality individual. He's a team leader. He makes the blocks he needs to make. And there's never a doubt when he's in the game that K-State had a chance to get a first down or a big play. And I know somebody mentioned earlier in the media about, why don't we talk about DJ more? And I agree. He needs to be talked about more, but I kind of don't want people to talk about him as much because I don't want teams prepping for him because he's been like I said, a silent assassin, that quiet assassin. He's been the guy for the first 2 games that gets the yards, gets the touchdowns, and is always on time when needed. So, man, DJ, he's Doak Walker, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
He should be a finalist. If he stays healthy and continues on his path, I'll be shocked if he's not a Doak Walker finalist later in the year.
He was 19 carries for 114 yards, 4 receptions for 63 yards and a touchdown. And it just feels like just another day, right? Like that's what's so amazing with DJ is like, you just, at this point, you kind of expect it. Like, is there anybody who doesn't think he's going to have 4 catches for 40 yards and 25 carries, maybe not 25, maybe 20 carries for 100 yards? Like, that's just a given at this point. And he is a consistent threat, and his ability to catch the ball out of the backfield has really elevated this K-State offense. I love that play. And Coach Kleiman talked about it after the game as well. The 4th and 1 play where Avery Johnson connected with DJ for the touchdown, that was a called swing route. And DJ saw that the flat was covered, and so he just kept running. Avery saw it, threw the ball, and landed right in his breadbasket for a touchdown.
I agree. And it's one of those things where it's funny after the play happened. In my mind, I'm watching the game, and I'm thinking, thank you, Lord, that Avery didn't panic, pull the ball down, and take off. And that just shows his maturation throughout the season. Although I know it's early in the season, but a lot of quarterbacks that are young would have saw that it's not open right away, pull it down, look for the next option, or run the ball. But he stood in the pocket. He didn't panic. He trusted the O-line, and he saw that DJ cleared the linebacker that was supposed to be covering him, put it up perfect. DJ ran underneath it untouched. And I was like, that was a great play by 2 quality individuals. So I was super happy to see those guys connect the way they did in a crucial time in the game.
Yeah, it was really impressive. Dylan Edwards, 4 carries for 54 yards. He also scored a touchdown in this game. We're going to talk about Dylan a little bit more in the second half. I think you and I both agree that, maybe it's time for the Derby, Kansas native to get some more touches. I think that will be coming in this game against Arizona. It has to. He's electric when he gets the ball. But Keegan Johnson, a quiet 3 catches for 51 yards. Really nice catch down the sideline. For as, I don't want to say inefficient as the defense was at times, I know that people were a little bit frustrated with the offense, but there were signs of life there.
Yeah, it was. And it's one of those things where we know the K-State nation, the fan base, we know the weapons that we have. And people are like, man, let them loose. And I get it. And because you've seen those guys and what they're capable of, and we're getting impatient with it. And like, it's one of those things where on the outside looking in, it's easy to be critical of the offensive coordinators or be critical of the coach and say, why don't we let these guys loose? We don't see everything that goes on during practice. We don't see the film that they see. We don't see the fronts and the defenses that they're going to see. So the coaches probably have a reason why they have or have not showed certain looks. But I'm the same way. I'm angry. Like, dude, we got speed. We got talent. Let those guys loose. But, yeah, they continue to make plays and they move the ball. Something goes wrong here or there and kind of backs us up. But, you and I talk about it. There's going to come a time when K-State's offense open up, and then we're going to be like, aha, that's what we've been waiting for.
Yeah, but you know what, too? I'm also of the opinion where if your running back can go 19 for 114 and your backup can go 4 for 54 and your quarterback can go 8 for 40, like if you can run the ball, if you can run the ball, I mean, you need to be able to run the ball. That's K-State's strength right now. That is their strength. I think they'll figure it out with the passing game. I really believe that. Offensive line, I thought, even with those running statistics, still left a little to be desired. And Carver Willis, a little bit banged up, didn't come back into the fourth quarter. Same with Hadley Panzer. They have said that Carver Willis is trending towards playing. We're not quite sure with Hadley Panzer, but those guys that are going to have to fill in for him, they got some good experience. And we've seen Andrew Langang play a ton. I'm not worried about this offensive line. I think with Connor Riley, they'll be able to figure it out. But, man, it just feels like this team is one game away from offense, defense, and special teams. One game away from really putting it all together and us seeing their full potential.
No, I agree, man. And going back to the O-line, in years past, if we had a starter go down, there was panic. And we might not admit it. We're like, oh, man, God, who's going to step up and take the place of this guy or this guy? But like you said, we are deep in every position, I think for the first time in a long time. And especially the O-line guys who have experience. And I don't think there's going to be any panic or letdown. And it stinks that a guy's injured or potentially could be injured. But we're at a level now in the Power 4, no longer the Power 5, Power 4, where we are able to recruit guys that are quality individuals that could start in other places, but they chose to come to K-State and they're backups. They're okay with it. And they step right in and fill that role. So I'm not panicked at all. Going into Friday's game, I'm excited. I think some young guys are going to take advantage of the opportunity and make the most of it.
So before we move on to the second half, being a defensive guy, I got to get your take on this. What was your reaction, first of all, to see Jack Fabris pick up the ball and run 60 yards after the scoop and score? And second of all, I need to hear the defensive back's take on the rub routes, because I'm serious, Monty, it felt like every single time Tulane had a big play, it was either a busting coverage or it was because of a rub route, or as we like to call it on the defensive side of the ball, a pick play. So first, number one, reaction seeing Jack Fabris take it to the house, and reaction number two, please give me your take on the pick plays.
Well, my first reaction when I saw the quarterback get hit and the ball out, and it's funny because a couple of weeks prior to the season started, I was at a practice watching it, and Jack's dad, Coach Fabris, was actually at practice, and he was my special teams coach at K-State, and we talked and kind of chopped it up a little bit and reminisced. He walks up to me. He goes, Monty's Blue, number 9. He goes, you think I remember that, did you? I'm like, Coach, you don't forget anything, so it doesn't surprise me. And we talked a little bit, and he talked about how he used to get on me about making mistakes and everything. And we talked about Jack and how good he was looking with the team. But then as soon as I saw Jack scoop it and head to the touchdown, I thought about his dad. Mm-hmm. If you don't know Coach Fabris, this guy is probably one of the most high energy guys I've ever been around in my playing career. I'm high energy. He would make me tired. That's how high he was. But I was excited for him. But the fact that a defensive back / linebacker rover guy can make a play and score and get a non-traditional score made me even happier. So that was huge. I was excited, and I was thinking, I bet his dad is probably going crazy right now, loving it. And then as far as the rub route, some people said that it shouldn't have been called, but the receiver, and me being a D-back and trying not to be biased, he wasn't making an effort to run a route, in my opinion. And I think if it was flipped all the way around, if it's K-State was on offense and they were on defense, I wouldn't have liked it, but it was just what it was.
Yep.
He genuinely didn't make an effort to make a move as a legitimate route. So in my opinion, that was the right call.
Yep.
That was the right call.
I agree. And you know what? Credit for K-State for taking advantage of it, because how many times have we seen that? And then the team on offense still score. And so credit K-State, Jacob Parrish, a play that should not go overlooked, breaking up that pass in the end zone on the ensuing play. And then obviously VJ Payne securing the win with the pick from Darian Mensah. He catches it in the end zone. K-State goes on to win the game 34-27. They survived, Monty. They survived.
A win's a win, baby. A win's a win.
Survive in advance. K-State's 2-0. And now they welcome in Arizona on Friday night on Fox. We're going to talk about that game and much more when we come back right here on the Friday Walkthrough.
It's time to take a break for our sponsors. We'll be back with more from GoPowerCat.com.
Nestled in the heart of beautiful and historic Council Grove, Kansas, Riverbank Brewing is the perfect place to stop before or after the game. Riverbank Brewing, located in downtown Council Grove.
Now let's head back to the show for more K-State sports coverage from GoPowerCat.com.
Welcome back in here to the Friday Walkthrough. Cole Carmody with Monty Spiller as we start the second half of the show. K-State hosts Arizona on Friday night. Arizona's 2-0. K-State's 2-0. The Cats versus the Cats. Monty, I'm excited for this game. This will be the first game. Okay, this is crazy. This will be the first game that I will not be able to either be at or watch live since I played my last game of college football in 2018. I've watched every game or been at every game since, but I'm coaching high school football on Friday. It's a big topic around K-State Nation. Give me your thoughts about K-State playing on a Friday.
Man, I get it. And I think a lot of the people at K-State, the athletic department, the fans, just the community, they don't like it, but they understand, and the team down the road, they've done it several years before. And I believe they play Friday night also.
Yep.
I'm not happy about it because like you, I won't be able to attend the game or even watch the game because we both be coaching our respective high school games. And it's one of those things where we're committed to, and I'm excited about the opportunity for both of us. But it's different, and I get it, TV revenue, and it is what it is. I think moving forward, it's probably going to happen more than not. And I just hope K-State's not involved with that in the future moving forward. So, yeah, what do you do?
Well, it's been 2 years in a row K-State plays on a Friday. Last year, down in Stillwater, they played on a Friday. They played on a Friday, obviously, at home this year. I would think that, this whole every team plays on Friday night. I would think that they wouldn't try and do this unless it's an annual thing, but I can't see that happening, especially when this was a non-conference game that was scheduled. So interesting to see how the Big 12 plays that forward. But, one thing is for sure, that is that K-State's on Fox, and it's really hard for those of us who are not involved in high school football, sitting at home watching a top 20 matchup. That brings in a lot of revenue. That brings in a lot of eyeballs. And so that's good news, I think, for the conference and for the Cats. Speaking of the Cats, Arizona debuted brand new helmets that they'll be wearing at Bill Snyder Family Stadium that say Cats on the side. And to steal a joke from Fitz, K-State will likely be wearing the 1989 throwbacks, which is
awesome.
The uniforms that we wear every single week.
I know, right? I love it. Think about, I'm not a fan of the color red. It's not my thing. I saw the helmets. Good for Arizona. Every school has a reason to hype their players up, to hype their fans up. And I know the fans, certain Arizona fans, are excited to come to Manhattan and to be in the Big 12, even though it's tabbed as a non-conference game because it was scheduled before they joined the conference. But it's kind of hard not to think about that. But like you said, two teams that are both undefeated, coming in ranked in the top 25. And it's one of those things where we as people in Manhattan get to show the fans in Arizona what Big 12 football is really about. Albeit as a Friday night, I'm excited. And I think it being a Fox game on a Friday night, a lot of eyes will be watching. And I'm excited for the Cats to kind of show the world what we're about.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun game. Arizona comes in 2-0, as we mentioned. Not exactly two easy games. 61-39 over New Mexico, the same New Mexico team who lost in week 0 to FCS Montana State. And then, of course, they had the juggernaut in week 2 of Northern Arizona. The Lumberjacks came roaring down to Tucson, and Arizona survived 22-10. Not pretty games, not so. For as frustrated as K-State fans are, I have a feeling that Arizona fans are probably more frustrated with how their group has performed. Granted, first-year head coach Brent Brennan, the alumni from Arizona, came over from San Jose State, but this has been a team. They have a lot of really good pieces, but much like K-State, they just really haven't put everything together for 60 minutes yet.
Yeah, and that's one of those things where I have no doubt that, like last year, Arizona finished on a high note. They kind of caught people by surprise. They were like, wait a minute, we didn't know Arizona had this kind of talent. And they still do have a lot of talent back. And with coaching staff and a few changes here and there, things will slowly kind of gravitate to where they need to be. But I don't think Arizona, and this is me, have seen, the one thing, going back to the Friday night thing, I hate that it's Friday night. I think the crowd will still be crazy because it's Harley night, but I don't think it will be the same if it was a Saturday night. But I don't think Arizona has actually experienced a real Big 12 environment, one of the best, if not the best, on a night game. And I think that's going to be an eye-opener for those guys as well. And I also believe that the fans have a lot of pride and the players have pride. They want to show, hey, you guys are the new kids on the block.
Yeah,
we're one of the big dogs for the last couple of years. You're not going to come here and just kind of take over. So it should be a battle.
K-State's a 7-point favorite, according to the betting odds experts in Vegas. Be interested to see if there's any movement in that line. I think a lot of K-State fans, when they saw that, were like, really? I think, it's kind of one of those things where it's like Arizona fans, when they saw that, they're like, oh, it's only 7 points. And K-State fans were like, oh, it's 7 points. Both sides have feel some kind of way about their team right now. And you know what? Something has to give. But you look at this Arizona offense, and they have some weapons. Noah Fafita, 5 touchdowns, 2 picks on the year. Northern Arizona got to him and rattled him in that game. Go back and watch that game and see how much the Lumberjacks were getting to Fafita. He had several balls where he just threw it away. They really couldn't get anything going, which is the exact opposite of the game against New Mexico. And part of that is because his receiver, McMillan, was absolutely insane. Over 200 yards receiving. Currently, through 2 games, he has 12 catches for 315 yards and 4 touchdowns. Fafita has just over 500 yards passing. So if they're going to try and get somebody the ball, it's going to be McMillan. The number 2 leading receiver is Quali Conley. And Quali Conley is the starting running back. So they're throwing to McMillan, and if they're not throwing to McMillan, then they're going to run the ball. That's just kind of how this offense works. And so if you're K-State, you have to understand, it's kind of like going against Michael Jordan. You knew Mike was going to give you 25, 30 points. But if you could limit Scottie Pippen, if you could limit those other guys around him, you're going to have a chance to win. It feels like that's going to be the game plan on defense for K-State.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. And like you said, McMillan, and the good thing about it is that McMillan, he had that big night, and everybody was like, and it was well earned. Everybody was talking about the big game he had against New Mexico. But I'm sorry, ex-New Mexico.
Yes, sir.
And I know it's still Division I, but New Mexico is not good. It is what it is. He had a great game. But the flip side is Northern Arizona showed, okay, going into week 1, New Mexico had no film on Arizona. Northern Arizona had film on Arizona, and they schemed for them. And so we got 2 films now on Arizona to see what's going on. We know McMillan is their guy, and knowing Clanderman, he's going to put something in where if he doesn't feel comfortable one-on-one with our corners, he's going to have a bracket, or he's going to roll the defense where we stop McMillan or limit him and make somebody else beat us. And I truly believe we have so much skill in the back end, i.e. the linebackers and the secondary. We can put pressure on the quarterback for Arizona without blitzing. We can do schemes without blitzing the guy going man and make him throw some bad balls. So I'm curious to see how he adjusts to that pressure from a K-State defense.
I am too. And, Quali Conley, I think it's worth noting too, also a really good running back. He averages 7.5 yards a carry. Now, again, a lot of those numbers are inflated because of week 1. Anytime you score 61 points, your starters play 4 quarters in a week 1 game. That's going to happen. But they had to play because New Mexico just wouldn't give up, and they were leading in that game. Same thing with Northern Arizona. Northern Arizona, I believe, was either leading or the game was close at
It was
halftime.
close. Yeah.
Yeah. And so again, this Arizona team, they played 8 stressful quarters. Now, K-State has played 5, maybe, really just 4. And so I think that's advantage K-State. But man, I'm a little, I don't want to say worried about Arizona's offense because I think they're going to be able to get to him. But we've seen McMillan and Fafita make really big plays. And so if you hold McMillan under 100 yards receiving, I just don't think that Arizona has the weapons to beat K-State. If you hold him to under 100 yards receiving, you're doing a really good job.
I'm with you. And it's one of those things where we play a lot more physical style of football. You know, we throw the ball around the yard and say the Big 12, K-State. We throw the ball around the yard, but we play a lot more physical brand of football. And a lot of people don't want to admit it, but we do. It's point blank. People say, oh, the Big 12 don't play defense. We do play defense. We just have some really prolific offenses that score points. We can't help that. But I don't think Arizona truly respects that or understands that at this point. And I think our defense is going to come out very aggressive. And the fact that we're so deep in numbers, we can rotate guys and keep guys fresh and continue to bring the heat. And I'm interested to see how Arizona and their offense responds to that.
Well, on the defensive side for Arizona, also a few question marks there, especially in the run game, which seems to align with K-State perfectly. They allowed 210 rushing yards to New Mexico and 89 rushing yards to Northern Arizona, over 100 yards if you take out the sack yardage. But they are prone to the big play. And to me, a team that struggles to stop the run and that's prone to the big play is just begging to be hit over the top with play action. Is this the game we finally see Kansas State open up the playbook?
I would say yes. And the reason being, our run game has proved that they can run the ball against the first 2 opponents. That's not a question. If we stick with the run game, we can move the ball at will. And my question for Arizona is, are they going to stack the box? Are they going to bring somebody in? Are they going to say 2 high, 1 high? What are they going to do? Because if you stay 2 high, we can run the ball and force you to stop the run. We can run the clock out and control the game. But if you bring another guy into the box and go 1 high safety, can your corners and can your linebacker or safeties cover our tight ends and our running backs for that matter? You bring a guy one-on-one, bring Dylan Edwards in. Who do you have that can cover him one-on-one in open space? Nobody. So you got to figure out what's your choice. Like they say, pick your poison. But I think our run game will set up the pass game. And like you said, that at that point, it would open up our playbook. And if they go 0, which is, for people who don't know, no free safety, man across the board, Avery can kill you with his legs, which he hadn't needed to yet, but he still can.
Yep, I agree. And to me, priority number 1 is getting Dylan Edwards the ball. And I know a lot of people want to see him going east to west, but Monty, he looked really good going north-south. Like his changeup is amazing because DJ is, I'm going to get downhill and then I'm going to run you over, or I'm going to get downhill, I'm going to make you miss. And Dylan's is, you're just not going to catch me. Like, I'm going to get downhill and you're not going to catch me. There's nothing you can do about it. And so I want to see Dylan Edwards get north-south. I want to see him get the ball in space, sure, but I want to see them get him the ball to where he can get the ball and go upfield. If that's on a screen pass, if that's on a draw, if that's on a handoff and on a power play, I don't care. I want to see Dylan Edwards get the ball and going north and south. Will they run him on jet sweeps? Yes, they will. But find a way to get that man going north and south because he is really, really good when he puts his foot in the ground.
No, you're right. And I wouldn't be surprised to see K-State bring him into a screen game. You know, a lot of times I think Arizona will be in a situation where they're going to have to put some pressure on us because they won't just be patient enough to let us continue to pound the ball 5 yards here, 6 yards here. They're going to bring some pressure at some point. And when they do, if Dylan's in the game, it's a perfect opportunity for a middle screen, a slip screen. And like you said, you get the big boys out front. All it takes is 1 block. And if he's at the gate, you can kiss it goodbye. And I think that'll happen as well. But like you said, north and south, he puts his foot in the ground and he goes. So it's past time. It's past time for him to have a breakout game. And why not Friday?
I think we're going to see it. I really, truly believe we're going to see it. Avery Johnson and Dylan Edwards back under the Friday night lights, the two former prep stars, conjures up memories of the game where they played against one another their senior season, and the score was like 60-50. I mean, it was absolutely ridiculous. It'll be a sight to see, Monty, as we wrap up the show and get into our predictions here. I'm going to ask you two predictions. The first prediction is I'm going to ask you to pick an MVP of this game. Who is a player that's going to pop? I know we talked a little bit about Dylan. We haven't done that this year because we haven't expected to be, maybe super close games. We've had one, but who is going to be the difference maker in K-State versus Arizona on Friday night?
Well, I'm a consistency type of guy, and going back to what we talked about earlier, Arizona struggles to stop the run, and I feel like DJ, he's been killing it the first two games. He's healthy, and why not keep that train rolling? So I'm gonna go with DJ Giddens. I think DJ is gonna. He sees what he can bring to the table. He's having fun, from my understanding, and I think he's hungry and hungrier. And like he's got a lot of yardage, but I don't think he scored. Well, he scored the pass. Yep. I don't think he scored a rushing touchdown.
It's not
since his first game. So I think that's his calling. He wants to score a rushing touchdown, and I feel like DJ is going to show up and show out. So he's going to be my MVP of this game.
I'm going to pick a secondary member, and I'm sitting here thinking about it. And could I pick Marquis Siegel? I could. Could I pick VJ Payne and Jordan Riley? Yeah. But I'm going to pick Jacob Parrish. And I feel like every week I talk about Jacob, but I'm just so impressed with his ability to play one-on-one coverage against really fast receivers. Now, McMillan is big and he is fast, but he ain't as fast as Mario Williams and Yoel Keith Brown and some of those guys that Tulane has had. I think Jacob is going to be able to stay with McMillan, and I think he is going to be able to really, maybe not shut him down, but they'll be able to kind of bracket him and not let him beat you over the top. I think Jacob Parrish might just get an interception in this game. He's due for one. We've seen the secondary create turnovers. I think K-State wins the turnover battle, and I think Jacob Parrish gets an interception at a crucial point of this game that helps flip the momentum in favor of Kansas State, which is a perfect segue. Monty, let's hear your score prediction.
I thought about this prior to us coming on, and in the last couple of games, I picked K-State to win, obviously, and the score being a little bit higher. With us albeit not conference play, but us getting into a harder competition, I'm going to go K-State 28, Arizona 17.
That's a really good score. I like I mentioned earlier, the score or the spread at the time was 7.5. K-State, interestingly enough, has not covered either of its first two games by 2 points. So the first game was 2 points, and the game against Tulane, the spread was 8.5, and they won by 7. So I think K-State covers this game. You picked 28-17. I'm going to go ahead and say 31-20. Okay. So a fairly similar score. I was going back. K-State hasn't really given up more than 3 touchdowns at home. They did against Iowa State, but before that, it had been a minute. I think this defense figures it out. I think Arizona will score. I think it'll be a close game. But in the second half, I think K-State really takes control and puts this thing behind them. And everyone in Manhattan is happy. The players are happy because they get an extra long weekend. And K-State starts the season 3-0.
Yeah, I'm with you on that too, and I think K-State will continue to roll Friday night. And I ask all my friends who know me, I'm turning my phone off. Don't text me. I don't want to know the score of the games. Hopefully, the announcer, we're on the road, so hopefully the announcers at the location that we're at don't announce the score during the game and ruin it for me. But if they do, it is what it is. But no, I think the Cats come out victorious, and it'll be a good game for us on a Friday night and going into conference play the following week. So I think the Cats will be okay.
Should be a fun game. Hope you enjoy the game no matter where you are. Obviously, we hope you're at Bill Snyder Family Stadium screaming your head off, enjoying the beautiful weather. Make sure you stop into Riverbank Brewing on your way down there. Have a little tailgate action. Just take off of work on Friday. Go down there. Go there during the day. Then drive up to Manhattan. Do some tailgating and watch K-State hopefully beat Arizona. We'll find out on Friday night.
One more thing. It's also Harley night.
Oh, it is. That's right.
Harley night. Yeah.
Harley night.
Yeah.
So don't go to Riverbank before you drive your Harley. That might end up bad. Either way, should be a fun night. For Monty Spiller, I'm Cole Connery. Thanks so much, everyone, for watching. We'll talk to you next week, and enjoy the game wherever you may be.
Thank you for watching the Friday Walkthrough, sponsored by Riverbank Brewing. This has been a GoPowerCat.com and Spirit Street production.